What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Cam ATL. Thank you guys for joining me as always, and I am back with another video covering Thursday night showdown slate with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling over to Chicago to take on the Chicago Bears. I'm excited about this game. I think it's going to be a solid game. I don't think either team gets separates by much. I am happy to see Nick Foles behind center in Chicago because I believe that Nick Foles is a better quarterback than Trubisky, and I think he is a very solid option on this slate. Even Nick Foles is going to be a solid guy for Chicago, and he's definitely an upgrade in my opinion. So happy to see that, and because Foles is behind center and Foles is a winner, he'll find a way to keep this game competitive, especially in Chicago. So I do like this game a lot. First thing, let's talk about injuries. All right, so Mike Evans is questionable. I'm expecting Mike Evans to play. All right, so we're gonna go over this. I'm gonna give you what I'm expecting and who I'm expecting to play, who I'm not expecting to play, because that's going to matter a lot. All right. Mike Evans, I'm expecting him to play. Chris Godwin, I am expecting him to miss. Okay. Chris Godwin is not looking great to play. Mike Evans should be able to play. Scotty Miller should be able to play. Fournette will miss. LaShawn McCoy should miss. So we've got a lot going on, man. We've got O.J. Howard out. Rob Gronkowski is questionable. I'm not 100% on his situation. He was limited. I'm expecting him to play. So yeah. All right. So with that said, let's talk about my favorite captain. Now let's go over the options. Now, most of the time, I do prefer to go with like a pass catcher at captain, like either a pass catching back or so I try to find out who's going to be the most used player in this game. First I try to figure out how is this game going to go. Is this going to be a blowout one way? Is this game going to stay competitive? How's it going to go? Now, I think it's going to stay competitive, so I think the pass game and the run game is going to be about even. They're going to be, doing what they got to do. Now, Mike Evans is the first guy that sticks out to me here. He has been so efficient with the targets he has gotten. Now, he's not getting a ridiculous amount of targets. I mean, he's gotten 10 targets one game, 8 last game. But the thing is he's catching damn near every single pass coming his way because Tom Brady's putting it right in his breadbasket. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's beautiful passes going to Mike Evans, and he's pulling it down. We all know what Mike Evans is capable of. I mean, the dude's a monster. Like, he's just big body, big dude, period. And he has been a huge red zone target for Tom Brady in the, so far on Tampa Bay. With this game, I'm expecting this game to be fairly of a shootout. Now, both defenses are solid, though, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some type of just run game, where we get a lot of Montgomery, we get a lot of Ronald Jones, we get some Keyshawn Vaughn, who I'm going to talk about in a little bit because I love him for GPP as a value guy, but I could see that because both defenses being solid, but both defenses are actually decent versus the run. So I'm gonna side with, because it's PPR on Draftkings, I'm gonna side with Mike Evans as my favorite captain option. I am expecting him to get in the end zone once, maybe even twice. Get 8 to 10 targets here. I love him, especially with O.J. Howard out. I'm really liking, and Chris Godwin obviously being out. I love Mike Evans. I mean, he's gonna get peppered with targets, and he's gonna be a huge red zone guy for Tom Brady here in this one. All right. On the other end, to run back Mike Evans, I do love Nick Foles, and I mentioned that. I do like having Nick Foles here because if this game is going to get lopsided in any way, I would expect it be Tampa Bay. All right, and with that said, and with the shootout in mind, Nick Foles at 10K, I really love him because Nick Foles, plain and simple, has been a solid quarterback pretty much every time he gets his opportunity. He's a guy who, he will just move the ball. He is a winner. Okay, plain and simple. The dude is a solid quarterback. He should not be backing up Mitchell Trubisky, and I'm glad he's in here now. But yeah, Nick Foles, like I said, Tampa Bay's defense is not horrible. Chicago's defense not horrible, but Nick Foles running back Mike Evans. I'm expecting this game to be fairly kind of a shootout, back and forth. So I do like Nick Foles a lot. I do love Tom Brady a ton. Tom Brady's more expensive than Foles, so I'm leaning the Foles side of this. But either way, you can go either way with that. All right. Allen Robinson, let's talk about him because it is PPR, and Allen Robinson is probably going to get more targets than anybody in this game in general. The interesting part of this here is that, Mitchell Trubisky left out last game, and Nick Foles was targeting somebody a ton, okay? And I'm going to talk about that guy real quick because there's a guy that obviously Nick Foles was liking a lot. Now, he liked Robinson too, but it's Mooney. All right, Mooney at 4.6. Okay? Mooney at 4.6 feels like one of my favorite options on this slate because plain and simple, it's PPR. You want a guy who's going to get targeted. Okay? He got 9 targets in this last game when Foles came in. Foles was targeting him a bunch. I was watching that game and he literally went back to Mooney like 3, 4 times in a row. So he loves this Mooney kid. All right, I still love Robinson, but the Mooney dude is way cheaper. He's 4.6. Gets you exposure to give you a pairing with Nick Foles. Absolutely love Mooney. I wanted to put him in my core that I like, and that's going to be the core that I lock in here. Mike Evans, and run that back with Nick Foles and Mooney as my favorite target point per dollar for Foles. All right, I'm not saying favorite target in general because Allen Robinson obviously is a beast, but Mooney I'm really, really loving here in this one. All right. Let's browse over a few more options. Ronald Jones obviously is going to be a very solid option. We have Fournette out and LaShawn McCoy most likely out. We have to wait and see on that. Fournette is still questionable. We'll see what's going on. It looks like he's going to be a game decision. I'm expecting Fournette to miss, and I'm also expecting LaShawn McCoy to miss. All right, with that said, Ronald Jones is going to get a ton of usage here, and I really, really, really love him at 7.4. I prefer Ronald Jones over Montgomery solely on this situation. Jones is just missing a ton of people, especially if Fournette and McCoy end up out. Jones needs to be played over Montgomery, plain and simple, for that $400 savings. Do love Scotty Miller. I also love Watson. Watson's one of my other targets I love for Tom Brady. He's been getting a solid, consistent amount of targets. He's only 2.6. Like I said, this game should kind of go back and forth, tit for tat when it comes to scoring. I don't think the Chicago defense is going to be able to stop Tom Brady too much, and I also don't think Tampa Bay is going to be able to stop Nick Foles too much. So I think both sides are going to be able to do their thing. Now, the sleeper of the week for GPPs especially is going to be Keyshawn Vaughn. All right, the interesting here is, is the major point I want to make here is once LaShawn McCoy left that last game, Keyshawn Vaughn went on to get 2 red zone targets. The only other person who got 2 red zone targets in that game was Mike Evans. Okay, so when they get in the red zone, Tom Brady loves to look at Keyshawn Vaughn. In this last game when McCoy was out, McCoy is the guy they like to use in that pass game. With McCoy out, Keyshawn Vaughn was a guy that they definitely wanted to use. Now, we know Tom Brady. He loves his pass-catching running backs. All right, he loved Burkhead. He loved James White. Like, he loves dumping off to his running backs. He does a great job utilizing them. And I'm expecting Keyshawn Vaughn at 1,000 to be one of the best value plays on this entire slate. Keyshawn Vaughn is my value guy that I really, really like. I won't be playing either defense. I'm just not too interested in that. I'm expecting Gronk to play with O.J. Howard out. I like Gronk. I love Brait. It's hard to know exactly what to expect out of that situation, so I'm not going to have a ton of getting exposure to those guys. I prefer the receivers. I would prefer Watson. I would prefer Scotty Miller. I would prefer Mike Evans. Those are the guys I prefer. But, yeah, I can understand how people would want some Rob Gronkowski. We obviously know him and Tom Brady have, chemistry. He just hasn't really done much. Gronk has just not been able to do much. I understand O.J. Howard was in, so I would not be surprised to see Gronk have a solid game here at 5.8. He's fine. I do prefer the receivers, though. All right. Who else do I want to talk about? Pretty much I've talked about everybody that I have the most interest in. I do believe that you will be able to get away with getting both quarterbacks in this game because, like I said, I do believe this is going to be a back and forth between the quarterbacks. But it could go anyway. You never know. But I think it's a safe bet to believe Tom Brady's going to have a decent game as well as Nick Foles. So you can go with both those guys, getting safe floors out of both of them. But yeah, anybody else that I want to mention real quick that sticks out to me? I thought there was a really cheap guy I wanted to mention. Oh, Harris for Chicago. All right. So I wanted to talk about Demetrius Harris, okay, because he also was a guy that got a red zone target. When Foles got in, Harris got a red zone target while Foles was in, and that's something interesting to keep an eye on because Harris is only 400. If Harris can get a few red zone targets in this game, I can expect him to pull one in, and that's very interesting at 400. Okay, so I wanted to bring Harris up because I noticed that he got a few red zone targets last game, and that's definitely interesting at only 400 if he gets some red zone targets once again for Foles down in the red zone. All right, and that's about it. Favorite plays, Mike Evans, my favorite captain. You can switch that up. If you want to save there, you could go Mooney there. I love Mooney on this slate. You could go Ronald Jones. I do like Ronald over Montgomery. Um, but yeah, captain Mike Evans, and then Nick Foles and Mooney are the other guys I really like. Running back Mike Evans, and then, like I said, point per dollar, Mooney is my favorite play on the slate. I will have a ton of Mooney. I'm not going to get off of him. He's one of my favorite options. Foles looked back to him multiple times in that game, and I'm thinking they're going to continue doing that. All right, so don't sleep on Allen Robinson. Obviously, he's a slate breaker type of player, but I do prefer Mooney at 4.6 point per dollar wise. All right. Good luck, y'all. GreenlightDFS.com. Join the squad for week 5. We had an amazing week 4. Let's continue at week 5, and let's start it off with a banger on Thursday night. Thank you guys for watching. As always, drop a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon next to subscribe so it lets you know when I post videos. I will see you guys back Friday morning for the final look vid covering all this craziness we have going on. I know we have some more COVID guys and stuff like that. We'll have more information come Friday, and hopefully I'll be able to get on top of that. All right? Thank you guys for watching. Peace.